Hi YouTube, my name is Jenny J, or just ask Jenny on the gram, and today we're going to be talking about all things hard drive versus SSD. Recently, I sent out an email to the people on my email list reminding them to back up their hard drives, and a reminder that if your hard drives are full past 80% capacity, then chances of it actually going corrupt and failing or you losing all of your data were pretty high. Now, it was also a reminder for you to take care of yourselves, because if we expect that from our machines, then we also should hold some more gentle expectations for us as humans. But it also sparked some really important questions just around the actual technicals. How do I back up my data? How should I be storing my data? And what were my recommendations for the best practices? So as someone who's been a photographer and videographer for the last 6 years, I have a lot more of these. So I've spent years trying to figure this out, and in the process, I've learned a lot about the difference between SSDs and hard drives and what a really good workflow can be. So if you have been using this time or thinking about doing a digital rehaul of your data, backing things up, reorganizing your workflow, then this video is going to be one you'll want to stick around for. Okay, so we're gonna start off with the basics. What is the difference between an SSD and a hard drive? So a hard drive is what we're used to. Hard drives have been the bane and backbone of all of our computing softwares for a very, very long time now. And this is a classic, rugged, portable hard drive. Now, hard drives come in many different forms, but a hard drive is something that is mechanical and magnetized. So how this works, if you were to take this apart, maybe not this exact one, but a general hard drive apart, you would see that it looks kind of like a CD or a record player with a little needle scratching it to actually read the data. So mechanical, moving parts, and magnetized. Now, an SSD, which can look something like this, stands for a solid state drive. Try saying that 3 times fast when you have a lisp. Solid state drives are not mechanical. This is entirely electrical and is made up of tiny little chips. So where this is a moving CD, basically, this is one little chip, which also explains the size. Whenever I'm recommending a workflow or what you should choose between SSDs versus hard drives, what's really, really important to think about and what I recommend to everyone is to understand what you're trying to do. Are you trying to take all of your data and back it up for safekeeping and not necessarily use it often? Or are you looking for a way to store all of your data in a way that's also fast because you still might be working on some of those files? Because understanding your purpose and your intention is going to be really important in deciding what you use if you're picking one or the other, or if you're going to use a workflow that I use, how you're actually going to set it up. For photographers or creatives whose storage is starting to fill up fast and you only have a computer that has a storage space of maybe 500 gigabytes, this is going to be my recommendation for you, and is actually the workflow that we use even for all of our heavy client work. And that is this. When it comes to picking between choosing an SSD or a hard drive, it's important to understand the pros and cons. Now, SSDs are becoming more and more common, more and more popular. This little thing is incredibly fast. Now, it's smaller, it's lightweight, it's more portable, and because it's not mechanical and not magnetized, I could probably drop this and it'll be fine. I'm not going to, we're not testing that. However, this is made up of moving parts, which means that if I were to drop this a few times, the chances of me actually having this hard drive fail is way higher. Any and all of the current files that we edit and are still working on all stay and live on SSDs. Now, this here is the Samsung T5. The T7 is supposed to be 94% faster than this, and this is incredible. So I know the next thing that we're going to probably be purchasing is a T7, because the speeds on this is beautiful, and to know that we could get something that's 94% faster, take my money. The reason we use this is because it is so incredibly fast. If I were to be editing the same footage on this versus this, this is gonna be a nightmare. In the long term of understanding how we store footage and that things fail, it's really, really important to back up all of your data at least in one place. Now, I'm not gonna get into RAID and NAS systems, which is when you stripe data across multiple different hard drives. That's definitely if you're working with larger storage systems, and that's actually something that we're looking to for the next stage of how we start to store our data. So we store everything on here, and once we're done with a client project, we actually don't use these anymore. This has been a fan favorite of a lot of YouTubers to just keep on the go, and the reason I actually keep on bringing this up and pointing at it is because it was actually really great for a really long time. This is the rugged lassie. This one itself has actually gone corrupt. And out of all the hard drives I've owned in the last like 6-7 years, the only ones that have ever actually gone corrupt on me were my lassies. So I have 3 different ones. I have like the non-portable ones as well. They've failed on me. I feel a little bitter about the fact that they failed on me. So what we actually use instead to back up all of our data is a nice, simple 3.5-inch hard drive. We have this inside an enclosure. The enclosure itself was like $27 from Canada Computer. I'm gonna link it below. And inside we just have a hard drive. This one is the Seagate Iron Wolf NAS because we were testing out a NAS system for a while. So we had extra hard drives from figuring that out. And we mirror all of these at least once. So we have doubles of these. Now, the benefit to having all of our final archive data on a hard drive is even though hard drives can and do tend to fail after a few years, the nice thing is because they are physically stored in these hard drives, the chances of you actually being able to recover the data on these hard drives are way higher than if an SSD were to go corrupt. Now, SSDs are less likely to go corrupt, but if they do, it's not easy. It's just a chip. Okay, this is very difficult. Once you delete forever, it's deleted forever. So in terms of archiving all of our footage and keeping track of all of the things once we're completely done with a project, we put everything onto one of these hard drives, and then we mirror it onto a second hard drive and then store these really safely. And eventually when our storage gets really big, we're actually going to be upgrading it to an entire server system, which is the next step. But if you're just starting out, you don't even have to think about that. That's a ways down the line. Now, a lot of people have also asked me about cloud storage, and for photography and videography and InDesign projects, Photoshop files, anything really Adobe and creative, I actually don't store any of that on the cloud. And the reason is because it just takes so long to upload and to download and to work from it. So especially if you might be working on your files, that is why I will always recommend working off an SSD. If you want to work from an SSD and then back it up onto a cloud, again, I still also recommend having it in more than one place. So maybe having one backup onto a hard drive and another to a cloud also works. I know that there are a lot of different ways to actually backing up and keeping your storage, but one of these stories that I heard when I was a new photographer that gave me nightmares and made me really think about my process for backing things up is the fact that there are 2 things that can happen to your hard drives and to your data. Number 1, the hard drives themselves can go corrupt, can fail, can get damaged, but also there was a story about a photographer who got her house robbed and the thief stole all of her hard drives, and I think it was like 10 years of her work because they were all together in one place. So what I also really like to do is make sure, because these are actually separate units and it's not just all on one single unit, I can actually keep the backups in a completely different location. So they are kept safe in the event of any physical damage to the space that we live in, to anyone trying to take them. They're not all in one place, and that is really what gives me the peace of mind to making sure my data continues to be safely stored. That all being said, I hope this is your reminder to have your hard drive and your storage solution figured out, because this is one of those things, just like our taxes or accounting, that we tend to put off. To actually back up and put all of your data in one place can sometimes take a few hours, so it's a really nice thing to do at the end of the night before you go to bed. Just leave things running and start to remember to back them up. And remember that it's really about finding a solution that works well for you. There are so many different workflows that work well for different people, but depending on the kind of creative you are and how much data you actually have, different solutions are going to be better. Now, like I said, I personally love using SSDs, but these units are also way more expensive than using a hard drive. And because hard drives tend to be cheaper and a lot of people don't really know the difference, they tend to purchase hard drives for kind of everything. So if you can, even a 500 gigabyte SSD to work off of is something that works really, really well. And they are slowly starting to get cheaper as they hit the market, but these are still going to be way more expensive for way less data than you can actually get out of these, which is, again, why these are really amazing for archiving all of your footage. But not this one in particular. I should probably stop holding this. So there you have it. Those are my recommendations of what to pick when it comes to SSD versus hard drive versus cloud storage. Like I said, I don't use cloud storage for anything other than documents. For Excel sheets, for all of that kind of data, I use cloud storage, love it. Doesn't take up that much space and it works really well for me. But as someone who works with big files as a creative, it's really, really important to have them on physical drives that I can access easily and quickly. So if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the comments and I will get to answering them in the next video. We have some exciting things coming up as well. And we're a new channel. Be sure to hit like, hit subscribe, share with a friend, and let me know if you are going to be backing up your hard drives. And if you need a reminder, I will be here to remind you. So you should definitely go do it. Okay, have fun now. Enjoy doing this.